Good morning, members of Parliament, support staff, visitors in the Public Tribune, radio listeners, TV viewers, those following via social media, and members of the media. Welcome to this public meeting number 10 for today, Friday, February 9, 2024. We have established a quorum of 12 members. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received notice of absence from the following members: MP Rolando Bryson and MP Peterson. Are there any other notifications? None. Today we have as agenda point for this public meeting closing of the parliamentary term 2020-2024. We go over to the agenda point. Today we gather for the last public meeting of this parliamentary term 2020-2024, which began on February 10, 2020. Article 46 of the Constitution stipulates that the duration of the Parliament shall be 4 years. This Parliament sat on Monday, February 10, 2020, which automatically means that in a regular situation such as this, the curtains of this parliamentary term will close on February 10, 2024. The St. Martin parliamentary election took place on January 11, 2024, in accordance with the aforementioned Article 56 of the Constitution. The national decree of November 8, 2023, number LB-23/564, and the election results, the new Parliament will be sworn in and sit for the first time tomorrow, Saturday, February 10, 2024. Out of the current 15 members of Parliament, 9 members of this Parliament will not be returning in the new Parliament. This loss represents a significant amount of experience, knowledge, and innovation, as well as member with the highest seniority in the history of the institution of the Parliament of St. Martin. However, along with the 6 returning members, there will also be members who in the past have been a member of Parliament, who have government executive experience, and some, though new, energetic, and focused individuals who are dedicated to working for the people of St. Martin. As we approach the end of this parliamentary term this midnight, it is a perfect opportunity for us all to reflect on the past 4 years, the good and the bad. With this in mind, this meeting was convened to allow us the opportunity to address Parliament and the people of St. Martin on this occasion. The speaking time for this meeting and thus this agenda point has been set to 1 round of 15 minutes. However, considering that we have 9 members of Parliament who will not be returning, I will allow them, those 9, 5 extra minutes if the need arises. And according to the speaker's list, I give the floor to MP Halley-Martin. MP Halley, you have the floor.
Pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to my fellow colleagues. Good morning to those listening and viewing online. Good morning, St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, there's a saying that goes, we grow when things are easy. Or we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. In facing the challenges of the past 4 years, I've come to embrace the notion that growth arises from adversity. Today, I stand before you humbled by the lessons learned and grateful for the support received during a term that I believed was marked by economic, constitutional, and political trials. My initial commitment to restoring the balance of power and improving the quality of life for my constituents faced many stumbling blocks, forcing me to realize that sometimes our plans differ from a higher purpose. My plans were simply not his plans. Yet these obstacles are the intricate details of a success story. And today, I stand vindicated, owing much to the 656 voters who believed in me in 2020. Because of you, I was able to grow as a member of Parliament. Did I make a few mistakes along the way? Of course I did. Was I disappointed at times? Of course I was. Do I still have more to learn? Of course I do. But through it all, I've healed, grown stronger and wiser, serving in various roles within Parliament, gaining a comprehensive understanding of the dynamics of politics in general, and in particular, St. Martin politics. During this term, I sat in various positions: second vice chair, committee chairlady, president of Parliament, and opposition. I guess I could say I got a well-rounded taste of many different positions in Parliament, and for that, I will forever be grateful. Today marks the end of this parliamentary term, as you just stated, Mr. Chairman. This is the final meeting with my fellow 14 members of Parliament. 6 of us were re-elected, and 9, and actually I should say 10 of us, were not. To those of you that were not re-elected, I would like to personally wish you the best of luck and with your future endeavors, and thank you for the shared experience and lessons learned. To MP Boncampo, I would like to start with him. Although I was only able to work with you, and I hope you're listening online, although I was only able to work with you for 1 year, you made a great impact inside and for the most outside of Parliament. Thank you for always being there for me through thick and thin, and your kind words and support will never be forgotten. MP Pantophlet, although we sat on opposite sides during the latter part of this term, you and I always were on the same point when it came to kingdom relations, and I'm grateful for that. MP Roumou, it was a nice experience working with you. The same Angelique in MPC is the same Angelique I know today. MP Marlin, no matter what I heard about you in the past, I want you to know that I commenced our professional relationship on a clean slate, a fresh beginning. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I've learned a lot about you and a lot from you. And for that, I'm forever grateful. MP Richardson, happy I was able to work with you. Interesting time indeed. MP Peterson, if you're listening online, my good friend, mi colega, let's table that for now, as I believe and anticipate our friendship will further blossom even more over time. MP Brownbill, I will never underestimate your pinky promises. Just a little inside joke between MP and I, if he's listening. MP Duncan, my policy-driven MP. We met as coalition partners and ended as a unit in opposition. I'm still disappointed you're not here with us moving forward into the new term, but I wish you all the best and look forward to still working with you somehow in the near future. MP Bijlani, President, I pray you take this time out to focus more on your health, because you know I've always been on you on that. So I pray you really focus more on your health. MP Bryson, thank you. All I did was forgive you and left the rest up to God. I want to thank you the most for my growth, because your actions has been the catalyst for my personal development as an MP. I sincerely hope you find solace in the days ahead. And to the 6 MPs that earned their seats in the next term, congratulations to all of you. MP Arendel, you said you'll be back. That's what you told me personally. A man of action indeed. And to my current opposition MPs, MP Wescot-Williams, MP Emmanuel, MP Melissa Gumbs, MP Ludmila De Weaver, we did it. Reflecting on our journey from the opposition to soon officially becoming coalition partners is a testament to our collective commitment to the betterment of our country. I pray that our journey together as a unit will reflect positively for the benefit of the people during the next years of the new parliamentary year, 2024-2028. And last, but definitely not least, I would like to wholeheartedly thank the Parliament staff, those backstage that kept the Parliament functioning: Elvis, Jamie Lee, Cheryl, Kelly, Lynette, Valerie, my brief stint with Nancy, Anne, Garrick, and also Officer Martina, Robbie, Nancy, and Glenora. My heartfelt gratitude to all of your invaluable support and guidance throughout my tenure this term. Your dedication and hard work has played an instrumental role in helping me grow into this position. And lastly, to my fellow future members of Parliament, I just want to reiterate this in the spirit of: we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. Let us embrace the challenges that come with our roles as members of Parliament or any other role you decide to take in life. Challenges will come and go, but when we face them, let the hurdles we face be the stepping stone toward more resilient, knowledgeable, and effective representation for the people of St. Martin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Halley-Martin. The next person on the list is MP Arendel. MP Hakeem, you have the floor.
Good morning, Chairman, my colleagues, and the listening audience. Today is February the 9th, 2024. Is the closing of Parliamentary year 2020-2024. I stand here as a, sorry for the 1 minute. I stand here as a proud member of Parliament for being part of the first government that lasted for the 4 years since we became country St. Martin. I, MP Arendel, take partial credit for the stability. Trust me when I say it was not an easy task. Holding this government together, it was extremely stressful, especially being an independent member in support of the existing government. I must say, when I started in 2020, I was new to the political arena. Over these 4 years, I have gained confidence, knowledge, and experience to continue this journey. The journey of working for the people of St. Martin with integrity. It's not my style to be talkative, but I realize a lot of people want me to be heard. I respect that, and I promise to be more vocal. Today will be my last day working with many of y'all in the room. One thing I must mention before ending my speech: I will miss every outgoing member. I cannot leave without mentioning it was a privilege working with MP Duncan and Brownbill. And also I want to thank my 229 people who supported me in 2020 election. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Arendel. The next person is MP Pantophlet. MP George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to the chair, my colleagues, those that are returning and those that are outgoing. But let me just regress a bit and say thanks to the people of St. Martin. The people of St. Martin who allowed me to be part of this political process. Those that voted and those who could not vote, but could still influence those that can vote. I want to thank, Mr. Chairman, the National Alliance Party, the vehicle upon which I was able to postulate myself as a candidate and be elected and allowed to sit as a member of the Island Council, not based on my own votes, but based on the fact, the seats that the party received. some said to me, and are still saying, you're too loyal to the party. I told them, how can I not be loyal to a party that I know works for the people of St. Martin? I had my personal agendas and so on of things I want to see done a particular way. But I still believe that the National Alliance Party was the organization, and still is, the organization that has always worked on behalf of its people. I want to thank the staff of Parliament. Indeed, whenever assistance was requested, it was granted, it was given. I also want to thank our faction staff for their support. I want to thank especially my colleagues of the N, of course, and I can't forget my former leader to the left, Mr. William Victor Marlin, who has taught me a lot during this political process. I always said, if I ever to go to war, if there's someone who I know will have my back, it's MP William Marlin. Someone who, no matter what situation we are in, always found a way, always found a solution, no matter how difficult it might seem. Thank you very much, boss. I call him boss, not really William. The National Alliance has allowed me to become a member of the Island Council, allowed me to become a State Secretary of Health of Nicholas Antilles, allowed me to become Member of Parliament of St. Martin, and also Vice Chairman of the Parliament of St. Martin. Before I continue, let me also thank our former Griffier, Ms. Nancy Joubert. Thank you very much for your presence. One who has worked very hard in ensuring that we, during her tenure here, were taken care of and received the necessary information. There are things that I want to see accomplished that don't have to be accomplished if I'm not there. And one of those is the issue of the debt cancellation. The debt cancellation should be a project that is not put aside. Because I don't care how small or how large a country might be. If your finances are not in order, then you have a difficult task ahead. And if you're paying a country that told you that they're sorry, they apologize for slavery, but refuse to put their money where their mouth is, then I have an issue with that. St. Martin needs the finances in order to meet its social responsibilities. I think that is very, very important. Another important issue for me is the issue of the short-term contract, the abuse of it. And I want those who are abusing it don't think or don't get the idea that because I will no longer be in Parliament, that I will be silent on the matter. I will not be. As long as it exists in its present form, I will continue to speak out against it because it is hurting the economy of St. Martin. I had a discussion this morning with someone, and they were talking about the issue of the hire and fire law. When will we institute this? I said, if it is up to me, once you get rid of the short-term contract as it is, then we'll talk about hire and fire. Because the fact is, if your employees are treated properly, they will work hard. Yes, there are always those who will not do what they have to do. But you cannot generalize by punishing everyone because of one or two bad apples. So I'm saying this, and I told them, if the employee is a problem, you have the labor office, you write letter, you complain, put it in their files, and when you want to fire them, then you have cause to do so. But to just give you the authority to hire and fire, no, definitely not. I'm not in favor of that. Also, the matter that I have pursued since the Island Council days, the issue of the Casino Gaming Board. Why is that not yet being instituted? What is the problem? St. Martin needs funding. And I can recall very well in 2011 when I said, why is it that we have not increased the casino fees? And what I got was a response in the Daily Herald from, I guess, the casino owners or whatever, stating that if we increase the fees, what they will do is lay off workers, cut back working hours, and close down some casinos. And my response at the time was, and I can remember very well, sometime during July, August, I think it was, I said, look, if you want to lay off, close down, I don't mind. There are many locals in St. Martin who can do very well with a casino license. And Mr. Chairman, from that year 2011 to today, I have not heard one casino owner say they're going to close down or cut back. What am I trying to say? If you are still here and making money, then why is it the fees cannot be increased? The fees are from 1998 or 1989, sorry. 35 years old fees, Mr. Chairman, they're paying for the last 35 years, the same fees. What is wrong with that picture? So I'm saying to those members of Parliament who are incoming and those who are here, look into these things because we need finances in order to meet our responsibilities. A party, Mr. Chairman, here did I don't want to call it a research, but they went and did a count of the many lottery booths on St. Martin. And Mr. Chairman, that too has to be looked into. On L.B. Scott Road, Mr. Chairman, just a few days ago, I saw our next little house erected. Another lottery booth again. Just last week. Mr. Chairman, they too are paying the same fees from way back, Mr. Chairman. So I want to say to the incoming members of Parliament, this is no time for party politics. This is no time to try to protect, let me use the term, the elites. This is time to work on behalf of the people of St. Martin. That is your responsibility. They're the ones who have elected you, and they're the ones who are paying your income. And that's what you should do. Mr. Chairman, our senior citizens, the ones who have worked the hardest, 30, 40 years, and today are complaining because why? They're being taxed. Based on all outdated laws, Mr. Chairman. All outdated laws. Mr. Chairman, one of the things I was coming with, and that was the issue of I think it was Article 6 of the Collection Ordinance, to have that adjusted because it states, and let me paraphrase a bit, that the receivers, I think, can make agreement with you as to how you can pay your taxes. And I'm saying no. They must make an agreement with you as to how you can pay. Because as it is now, they determine what you can pay and what you can't pay, and how you can pay it, Mr. Chairman. And for me, Mr. Chairman, that is not correct. And especially our senior citizens, Mr. Chairman. We are looking forward to the issue of their taxes, those who are 65 years and up, being written off based on a criteria, of course. Because there are those whose income is only derived from pension. And at the same time, Mr. Chairman, let us look at those who are not paying, Mr. Chairman. You see, St. Martin is a very, very small island. And sometimes we think that things are not known, but things are known, but people are afraid to come out publicly and say so. Mr. Chairman, our seniors are to be protected. And I said it on this floor about a couple of weeks or a month or so ago. This senior went to buy medication, went to get medication based on the SZV card. And when they got to the pharmacy, it cost $200. They had to pay half because the pharmacy only covered $100, Mr. Chairman. These are the things I'm talking about because why? These persons' income is derived only from pension. Cost of living is increasing, and that is why I'm saying these are things that must be looked into. And this is why I'm saying we cannot have politics as usual. Years ago, I made a statement, and I made some statements as a matter of fact, where I said that if you continue to put pressure on our people, there might be a point in time when people get angry and they revolt. Mr. Chairman, if you look at what's happening all over the world, that's why I'm saying to the incoming parliament, don't allow yourselves to focus on St. Martin alone. You have to look at what is taking place in the region and all over the world. We are not on this planet by ourselves. Whatever happens out there, Mr. Chairman, affects us. Ukraine, right now the war in Israel, Mr. Chairman, Sudan war, Mr. Chairman, bombing in Yemen, Mr. Chairman. The big boys are playing their games and we got to be in trouble because why? They're looking for their own benefit. But we must know what is happening in order to protect our people, Mr. Chairman. Because the last time I checked, we are all on planet Earth together. And because of social media, the world has become smaller and smaller. Mr. Chairman, there's something I would like to see change. And I think, some might not agree, but everyone is entitled to his own opinion. But this issue of the political term of being 4 years, I don't agree with that. I think it's time, Mr. Chairman, we change it from 4 to 6, Mr. Chairman. From 4 to 6. And I really don't know where we got this nonsense from, and this is what I'm saying. After 100 days, you're going to check to see what you're doing. What the heck you can do in 100 days, my friend? Where did you get it from? 100 days you'll do and check, see what has been done. I don't know where it come from. And can you help me where did it come from? That's not our thing. I don't know where it came from. When I heard it, I said, what can you measure in 100 days? But sometimes in 4 years, you can't even accomplish it. You measure in 100 days, Mr. Chairman. They could keep that, okay? But I'm saying change it from 4 to 6, number one. Secondly, the issue with parties, Mr. Chairman, 7, 6, 8 parties, ridiculous. Ridiculous, Mr. Chairman. I would say, and this is me speaking, there's not National Alliance, this is George Pantophlet speaking, maximum 3 parties, Mr. Chairman, that's it. A little island, 8 parties. My God, man. I mean, what kind of majority you will have? You have to join 4 parties and make a majority, or 3 to make a majority, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think that will give us more stability. More stability. That's what we need. Because without stability, you can't get anything done, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, something that I was going to leave alone. How much time do I have, Mr. Chairman? Let me make sure I don't. Good. Almost finished. Mr. Chairman, this matter, I was not going to bring it up. I played with it for about 5, 6, 7 months. But after a while, I said no. I told my wife this morning, I said, look, honey, I'm going to bring it up in Parliament. It was never told to me to my face, but of course, people who support me and my friends say, well, George, they're telling you, they're saying you're too old, you should leave Parliament for the young people and so on. Let me respond to those if you are listening or viewing. Tell Mr. Joe Biden, who's 81 years of age, I think, he should go home. Tell President Trump, who's 77, he should go home. The 2 oldest persons there are the number one Republican, 1 Democratic. Why are they still there? 81 years old and 77. I'm 70. I'll be 71 in 5 months, thank God for that. And my mind is still functioning perfectly, and I can still move around. So please, to those persons who are senior like us, if you want to postulate on a list, go ahead. Once your mind is functioning, your health is well, do it, because experience is something you can never learn in a university. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in closing, I have to thank a very, very special person. That's my wife, my beautiful wife of 47 years. We celebrated 47 years on the 1st of February. It would have been 50, but she told me to wait. So I waited 3 years. She was only 19 years of age, so she said to wait, so I waited. And on February 1st, we celebrated 47 years of marriage. And why do I thank her? I want to say this to you. If we think they're not paying attention, well, she pays attention. And when I get home, it's either I should have said this and I should not have said that. I should have done this, I should not have done that. And that's why I had to go through for a little while. So I want to thank her for her support and advice. And you know, women are something else when it comes to those things. They have this inner intuition there that when they say something, you better listen carefully. Because most of the times, if almost all the time, ladies, you're right. So I want to thank her, thank my 3 children, our 9 grandchildren. God has really blessed us. And don't think for once that because I'm not long going to be in Parliament, that my voice will not be heard. I'll be writing, I'll be going on radio station, TV, and so on, if I'm allowed to do so, and continue to be what I believe I did mostly in Parliament, is an activist. Because people say about passing laws. I didn't hear the chairman mention the laws we passed. I don't think he did, Mr. Chairman, because people say we are passing laws all the time. I mean, it might not be laws that you think or you want to hear, but Parliament is passing laws all the time. So I want you to keep that in mind. Again, thank you to the voters. Thank you to the people of St. Martin. Congratulations to the incoming members of Parliament, and also my colleagues who I worked with for the many years. God bless you, and much success in your future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP George Pantophlet. The next person I have is MP Christopher Emmanuel. Mike.
Good morning to my honorable colleagues. Good morning to the President of Parliament, everyone in the Tribune, good morning. Our Khafir, good morning. It's always a good thing to say out with the old and in with the new. I can stand here and point fingers and say that finally we have gotten rid of probably the worst government in the history of this country. I can stand here and say, you know, we just had elections and let bygones be bygones. I can stand here and say so many things. I started this journey 4 years ago as a member of the National Alliance, and now I'm entering it as a leader of a new political party. But I've decided to do something different today. It may be strange, and people would say, but what is it up with Chris? Because there always seems to be something. But I want to focus and point the finger at an individual, because I think many are looking at it or looking at the person as just being simple, or we can just cascade and just leave it pass us by. But I'm going to dedicate my time today, and it's a reason why I'm going to do that, because I want people to understand, and I want to show the people of St. Martin that there is no love lost. It has been tough, isolated, ostracized, attacked, cornered, but there's no love lost. And today, I stand here as the leader of the Now Party, saying to my colleague, my friend, a father figure, someone I call captain up to this day, the Honorable William Marlin. I am dedicating my time to say to him, thank you. Thank you because I am here today because of you. I am saying it so people can understand that as much as we went through a battle, a bitter battle, there is no love lost. I tell people, one of the only persons I know that I can wake up in the morning, yampy in my eye, jump in my car, drive up the hill, don't knock on the door, just open it, walk in, open the fridge, bend down, peep. William, organize some Johnny cakes now, and it will be done. I want people to understand the person that I'm talking about. I don't want to speak about me today and what was done and how Parliament should and should not be. No, I want people to understand the person. And it's a particular reason why I want people to understand the person. I want the National Alliance to know who they have in the person of William Marlin. Why am I saying that? So they can understand how this party was founded, why that party came about, and that today it doesn't resemble the legacy, what he started. I can only speak of the National Alliance. I know of the SPA, the SPM, but I wasn't part of it. My mom was, but I have been part of the National Alliance. I have been part of the leadership of the National Alliance under William Marlin. I want them to understand what was laid down, what was set forth by this individual. I also want them to understand, in my opinion, you have lost that way. You have gone from that way. I also want them to understand the faculties and the brains are still working in that person. I also want them to understand, not because someone is old or something is old, that it doesn't work and it's no good anymore. I was speaking to my aunt, and my aunt said, Chris, now it is time for healing. Now it's time for you to take a break. Now it's time for you to say, people of St. Martin, I'm sorry. And I was like, sorry for what? No. I'm not doing that. But I am. For whatever you didn't like, for whatever I said, for whatever didn't come over correct, for whatever it was, I stand here today and apologize and say, I am sorry. But I also want to let people know that sometimes, just sometimes, you have to stand the ground. You have to stand your ground and mean what you say and say what you mean. I learned that from him, William Marlin. Today, my salute is for that gentleman, because I remember when I started up these steps of Parliament in the faction office of the National Alliance, I started under the leadership of William Marlin. With that knowledge, with that wisdom, with that know-how, I take it a step further as the leader of the Now Party. I take it a step even further as a member of a new coalition government. I take it a step further as being part of a new government. So I say this to the people of St. Martin. Chris remains Chris. The people have a right to know. I learned that from William Marlin. And I will continue informing the people of St. Martin. I will continue talking to the people of St. Martin. I will continue being there for the people of St. Martin. Today is a good day. And it's a good day because tomorrow is a better one. So I say this to everyone. As much as it has been what it was, the young people say it's what it is. Indeed, it is what it is. But for me, to the Honorable Member of Parliament, William Marlin, there is no love lost. I thank you very much for that understanding. I also want to say to my new coalition partners, this country is looking at us. This country is going to judge us. This country wants more and better and expect everything from us. But I hold no nervousness whatsoever. None whatsoever. Because I look at the individuals and I believe it's a good thing. And it's a good thing for this country. But I also say this. As much as I have burnt many bridges, the only reason why they fell is because they was built from wood and easy to burn. I am now building them back with steel so they can stand stronger. The people of St. Martin, this government is built on a foundation solid as a rock. I'm saying this to my coalition. I'm saying this to each and every one of them. We ain't going nowhere. For sure, the now will not be responsible for no breaking and no falling of government. I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and the people of St. Martin.
Thank you, MP Christopher Emmanuel. At this time, I would like to take a 3-minute break. We'll return at 11:05. Meeting adjourned. Ready? Welcome back. And the next speaker on the list is MP Melissa Gumbs. MP Gumbs, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to you, here, my colleagues in Parliament, those joining us online and here in the Tribune. Mr. Chairman, I will be using a small portion of my speaking time to speak on behalf of MP Richardson, who could not be here today as he's still recovering from surgery and is tuned in. So on behalf of Rayon, I want to say this. A word of thanks to the people who placed their trust in me over these 4 years as a representative of the people. Through COVID times and what has come after, it has been 4 years of personal growth and learning about topics I previously did not know much about, especially when it comes to our private sector and geopolitical realities that impact St. Martin and our neighbours. While I will not be returning to Parliament, I look forward to continuing to serve St. Martin in whatever capacity the universe has in store for me. To the incoming MPs, congratulations. My one request is that you take this job seriously and humbly. Do not let things go to your head and check your ego at the door to make sure that whatever you do, it's in the best interests of St. Martin. For myself, Mr. Chairman, I want to say firstly that while I will miss MP Peterson here in Parliament, I know he will serve in whatever capacity he's asked to be in. I also want to echo the thanks that he sent along to the people of St. Martin for their faith in us, their trust in us, and their honest feedback and constructive criticism over these last 4 years. I look forward to continuing to implement what I have learned and continue to learn for the coming parliamentary term. To those that are leaving us, starting with you, Mr. Chairman, as one of a sparse few in here that understood the real challenges facing private sector, I will miss hearing your stories of a wilder, younger version of you, but I advise you not to put those in whatever book you may write. MP Roumou, we may not have seen eye to eye on everything, but we agreed consistently on one thing. Education is the foundation that needs fixing for St. Martin to progress. I know you'll continue to serve St. Martin in any capacity. I wish you much success with future plans and whatever screenshots you take of my facial expressions here on the floor of Parliament. MP Hyacinth, for the Pigeon Peas, he knows what I'm talking about, the Almanac, and your stories on the agricultural history of St. Martin and your own planting adventures, I will always be appreciative. MP Pantophlet, our off-camera discussions while waiting for others to arrive and sign in for meetings was always appreciated, about regional history, your experiences in government, and of course, boxing. Now at least, you know lunch will definitely be at 12 p.m. A farewell to MP William Marlin. As someone who has known me from childhood, it was a bit surreal to be here with him as a colleague, and while our politics may have differed often, it is always a loss when experience leaves the room. I look forward to at least 5 books about your career and wish you as peaceful a life as a retired politician can have. And by the way, we can discuss off-camera if the stake debt has finally been paid off. MP Bryson is not here, but I do want to acknowledge his impact on Parliament. Politics aside, you were a force to be reckoned with on the floor, and I would only add that those coming after you have big shoes to fill, even if you are shorter than at least 2 of them. Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge one last loss to Parliament that I especially will feel immensely, especially since it brings the sensible Virgo Star Wars fan quota in here down to exactly 1. I'm speaking, of course, about MP Ludmilla Duncan, or as I just call her, my Virgo body. Duncan, no one knows the rocky start we had. Not of your own doing, of course, but rocky nonetheless. However, what evolved from that is a friendship that I'm happy and proud to share. I wish you much success in whatever endeavors you undertake, and I leave you with the wisdom to remember that whatever those endeavors are, remember that you must do or do not. There is no try. To those newly elected and those returning, there's much work to be done. MP Pantophlet actually touched on one that remains important to me, a concern that he and I shared. The matter of implementing and maintaining controls over our out-of-control gambling industry, especially as we consider what new technologies, including cryptocurrency, allow when it comes to money laundering and other activities that actively contribute to St. Martin's poverty levels. This is just one critical issue that needs the urgent attention of Parliament and of government, and I look forward to working together, all 15 of us, to get the work done. And finally, as well, thank you to the staff of Parliament. I know we drive you all crazy. I think Garrick's facial expressions rival even mine, for sure, when we're here on the floor. But I am always appreciative of it and the learning that I have had the opportunity to get, not just from our current griffier, from our previous griffier, and I look forward to everything else that comes with this new term. Thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you, MP Melissa Gumbs. I don't see anyone else. Okay. MP Angelique Roumou, you have the floor.
Pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good morning to the viewing and listening public, and of course to the visitors in the Tribune, and to my beautiful colleagues here in Parliament. I would first like to give God, of course, thanks and all the praise for all of his blessings. I would also like to extend my profound gratitude to the people of St. Martin, my family, my friends, and of course, the National Alliance Party for giving me the opportunity to represent you, the people, during my tenure in Parliament. A special thank you is also extended to the staff of Parliament and to the faction staff of the National Alliance, because with your assistance, our parliamentary tenure was made easier. I also want to give Mr. William Marlin, MP William Marlin, my mentor, his flowers while he can smell and receive them, and say thank you for all of the lessons and stories you have shared that have taught me so much about the political arena. Even though you nicknamed me Pepper Pot, for always being true to my beliefs and for speaking my mind, I know that it was all in love. So thank you once again for being a mentor and for leaving your legacy in so many ways. Just naming a few, as we know, there are many schools and many roads that were built during your tenure, and your leadership will never, ever be forgotten. These 4 years here in Parliament have been a journey of learning and of gaining experience, and it was all made possible by the confidence you, the people, placed in me to be your representative here in Parliament. I was granted the opportunity to chair numerous committees, but chairing the Committee of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sports granted me so much pleasure, and I am extremely grateful for this opportunity, as I was able to champion and bring forth many issues that were dear to me and, of course, dear to the people of St. Martin. One in particular amongst others that I will continue to champion, even though I may not be in Parliament, will be special needs, as this continues to be an issue that needs much attention. And being the doer that I am, I promise you, the people, that my work for you and for country St. Martin will continue, as I started fighting these battles as a citizen, and so I will continue. In Parliament, I was able to raise the bar and show that the representation of you, the people, did not only lie with asking questions and holding the ministers accountable, but as your representative, I was able to do so in a respectable manner, but I was also able to make amendments to the national budget, bring motions which were passed, and make amendments to laws, which all had profound consequences on the lives of our people of St. Martin, moreover our children, teachers, and our seniors. As I come to the closing of my speech, today definitely marks a historical moment, because as I take a pause from Parliament, I can proudly say that I was a part of a coalition that was the first in history since 10-10-10 to hold a government together for a full term of 4 years. even amidst the trials and tribulations, simply because stability and sustainability is what you, our people of St. Martin, deserve. To all of my colleagues, I will miss working with all of you because we can say that as professionals, we did what we had to do across party lines at times for our people when we had to. To my colleagues who have been re-elected to Parliament, please remember that you have been elected to represent the people of St. Martin, to represent your country at all times, putting country above self. St. Martin, my profound love for country will continue to show as I continue the work I started, even though I may not be in Parliament, because as I have said and will continue to say, working for country St. Martin and working for you, the people, should start before you postulate yourself on a list, and it should continue even if you're not in an elected position. Thanks once again to St. Martin, to my people. I love you, and my work continues on so many levels as there is so much work to be done. St. Martin, my beloved country, the development should continue and will continue, and my commitment to do so continues. Stay tuned, because as I said, this is not a farewell, but it is a pause. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Angelique Roumou.
You need it?
The next person is MP Solange Duncan. MP Duncan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to you. Good morning to the SG. Good morning to my colleagues, everyone in the Tribune, and everyone tuned in. First, of course, Mr. Chairman, I have to express my gratitude to the people of St. Martin, first and foremost, for the trust, support, and the opportunity to have served them as a representative in this body over the last 4 years. I would also like to thank everyone in this room, in this building as well, because my experience here has been a positive and enjoyable one. Mr. Chairman, I am proud of the work that I have done. Would I have loved to accomplish more and achieve more? Of course. But I do know that I did have a positive impact on this body. In 2020, following the COVID pandemic, and what was considered harsh and neo-colonial conditions laid down by the Dutch government during a time when our people felt their most vulnerable, I proposed the establishment of a committee that focused on the need for increased decolonization efforts. Working alongside my colleagues here in Parliament, the CCAD was established, and as chairwoman of the CCAD, I hosted the first expert panel roundtable discussion on the Kingdom Charter, highlighting the history of the Charter and the current democratic deficits that exist in the Kingdom. We have seen at IPCO new agenda items that include the history of slavery and decolonization. We have experienced apologies for slavery from the King and the Dutch Prime Minister of the Netherlands, and we continue to live in this very important time. And so for me, it is an honor that I have been a co-proponent of a committee for constitutional affairs and decolonization, and I know that this committee will continue to do important work moving forward in this Parliament. Mr. Chairman, I've always been an advocate for participatory governance and citizen participation. Article 24 of our Constitution states that everyone is entitled to submit petitions to the competent authority. So as Chair Lady of the Petitions Committee, I promoted the submission of petitions to Parliament, reminding our residents and our citizens that they have a right to inform us as their representatives and have those issues investigated. We saw an important petition come to Parliament, particularly on the development of Mullet Bay Beach, and I hope that our residents continue to take the initiative and demand an audience here in this body, and that we also in this body follow up, as is our responsibility. The preservation of heritage and the development of our culture holds a very special place in my heart. Mr. Chairman, one of the most important motions that I presented and passed here requested the Minister of Education to establish a culture council to create a National Heritage Week and to put together a committee to improve and update our curriculums in schools at both primary and secondary levels. This will ensure that our students will learn St. Martin history and culture moving forward. These actions, I hope, are to be taken by government, and I know that they will build pride and protect who we are moving forward. This is the only way that we can build this nation, Mr. Chairman, and I hope that the government does make these actions a reality and that we see the future of this island improving based on those motions. Mr. Chairman, my last proposal was the establishment of a digital research library, a resource for knowledge and data information based on the research by not only our own people, but people in the diaspora that can be used for our work here in Parliament that could improve our decision making. Hundreds of students and researchers every year investigate policy problems on this island, and that work usually stays with them. I hope that this will change, that Parliament and government will use the digital library so that not only us, but also students in this country and abroad can use this important information to build better, to make better decisions in the future and build a better St. Martin. I will definitely continue to work alongside the SG to ensure that the library is up and running soon and that everyone can have access to the information. Mr. Chairman, being an MP means being a politician, and politics is a very sticky affair. I've come to learn that over the last 4 years. At its worst, politics forces us to make decisions that conflict with our values and our integrity. Ooh, did I have an experience there? At its best, politics allows us to collaborate and network and make decisions across party lines for the betterment of the people and this country, because at the end of the day, it is about them. It is not about us. We are here to serve. Small island politics in particular can be very ugly, but this Parliament, I believe, made a great example of what it means to work together. In my opinion, I always would say we're the friendliest Parliament, in St. Martin's history, because despite our differences, and I think MP Emmanuel showed that in his speech, despite our differences, we can grow beyond the petty squabbles or the petty disagreements, and there is still so much work to do, and I believe that the people in here and those coming in have what it takes to do the best work for the people. I really do believe so. I would like to encourage my fellow MPs, those returning and those who will be here for the first time, to of course do the very best that they can within not only themselves, but the confines of this structure and this space in our country. There is a lot of changes that need to happen, but I hope and I believe that those changes will come, and that, of course, they will put country above self. Congratulations to those colleagues that have been re-elected and those coming in. I wish you continued success and strength and discernment. And of course, always saying and reminding you that your integrity should be the guiding principle for your decisions. I would like to thank all of my MPs, fellow MPs here, for the laughter and discussions and disagreements and learning experiences on this floor and outside of this building. I have enjoyed every moment of it. I will turn to look at the elders in this body, MP Marlin, MP Pantophlet, MP Richardson. They have taught me a lot about not only our political history, but what it means to really endure in this in this country and in this state that is politics. It is not easy, but I have so much respect for them, and I thank them for their wisdom. To my Zennial, Millennial, Gen X colleagues, MP Gumbs, MP De Weaver. MP Gumbs is my fellow Virgo in here. I have enjoyed doing the work with you. MP De Weaver, my fellow Yogi MP, who came in a few years ago, but I have enjoyed working with her as well. MP Halley-Martin, my comrade in decolonization work, the most interesting, sometimes the most controversial but important work. Thank you. Thank you so much. I also would like to thank MP Bryson for his energy and the work and the things that he has done in Parliament. It was a pleasure working with every single MP in here. I wish you all the very, very best. To the staff, the entire staff of Parliament, once again, to the SG, Garrick Richardson, who has been an inspiration to me for his dedication and his support to this body. I mean, the SG has had to put up with a lot in here, and I admire him for his work. Everyone in here, from Robbie to Glenora, Alvin, Kelly, everyone that has worked alongside me over the last 4 years, thank you. To the future leaders of this country outside of this body, Mr. Chairman, the young persons, let's call them the Gen Zers, who have not yet made a decision to enter politics, but there's this growing urge within them, I say, go for it, dare greatly. 6 years ago, I entered the political arena. I imagined myself here. I did the best that I could. And anyone who has the inkling that they should be in this body, I urge you to learn as much as possible. If you want, you can holler at me on Facebook or Instagram. I am always there to mentor because I believe that politics is important. We all have a part to play in the shaping of this country, and so what might be your role? Every role is important, and if you think that this is a role for you, I would encourage you to do so. So I am here for anyone that is interested to learn more about becoming an MP, and I would love to give my guidance on that. Mr. Chairman, finally, thank you to the people of St. Martin for their trust in me, for believing in me, and for supporting me even though this decision came as a surprise. I want to remind everyone that I will always serve this country and I will always serve my people after today in different capacities. We've heard that word a lot now. Whatever capacity it is that fits me best to continue to serve, I will be there and I will show up because I love this country. And I'm in it for the long haul. This isn't the end. It is actually the beginning. And so it was an honor, a deep honor and privilege to serve in this capacity, Mr. Chairman, as a member of Parliament. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I wish everyone the best. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Solange Duncan. The next person is MP Hyacinth Richardson. MP Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to persons in the Tribune. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you so much for giving me the privilege here today, but permit me to extend my deepest sympathy to Assistant Secretary Anne Gumbs on the passing of her brother, which was laid to rest a few days ago. I must apologize because it caught me by surprise. Mr. Mike Gumbs, the late Mr. Mike Gumbs, was a school friend of mine. Every morning we go to school together. He passed by my home. We go to St. Martin Academy together, and we come back from school together. So we were great friends. And I was not able to attend the funeral because, like I say, it caught me by surprise, and I want to apologize. And I want to say to Anne, he was a great man, I know that for sure, and Godspeed with you and the rest of the family. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank God so much in my life, so much in my family life, so much in the people of St. Martin life. And the reason why I'm saying that, Mr. Chairman, God being good to St. Martin, We went through so much in the last 4 years, or the last 6 years. We went through a hurricane in 2017. We went through the COVID for 2.5 years, I believe, and yet we are here. And as a government, we are doing pretty well. Today, we realize that our finances is in the black, which is good. And I would like to thank the finance minister and all the rest ministers in the business community of St. Martin and the people of St. Martin and those persons who have invested and came to visit our shows, that we can look pretty good. If we have realized the CFT have said so many great things about St. Martin and this finance minister in the last couple of years. Mr. Chairman, I'm great to be part of the institution, the SPA, National Alliance. Don't know what it may be called in the future, but two of the former great leaders, the late Mr. Van James Jr., and right here present with us, Mr. William Marlin, I want to say thank you for being the great leaders you were in bringing St. Martin to where it is today. I can remember, and I always use this example, my nephew, when he was 6 years, today he's 28, there were no classrooms for him. And I can say, thank God, that when we got in office, the SPA got in office a few years back, a couple of years well back, they were able to build classrooms practically in schools, primary schools in every district of St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, it also is a myth that many people believe the harbor was not built by the SPA. Mr. Chairman, the man sitting right next to me, right on my rear left, Mr. Marlin was the one who went to Curacao and stand up to Poway many years ago in order to get the water rights to build the harbor. We got the financing to build the harbor. I was working at the labor office at that time, sending people to the harbor to get work. So I know the whole history about that. Not to go into it too much, but the National Alliance got the blueprint, the financing, the water rights, not just for the harbor, the whole water rights of St. Martin. Didn't come in easy, but we did it. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the people of St. Martin for giving me the opportunity to serve them for a number of years. I've been in the Island Council for 7 years, making $1,100 a month, no complaint. I also served as a commissioner for 16 months, which I brought the St. Martin SZV. I established that through the Island Council. I also established the building in KB that you call Eulalie Meyer Center. I built it as a foster home, and I was at making sure building the cultural center for KB and Colby residents, but unfortunately, we had a short stay and it didn't materialize. Mr. Chairman, the 6 months contract is still there, need to be dealt with. I will not go into details with it. And there's so many things still need to be dealt with. We talk about the blue, the orange economy, and so forth. Mr. Chairman, I called for a multicultural center many years ago. Up to today, it cannot be done. But hopefully, this new government will get it done. I also would like to see a cricket stadium for this country because it means economic business for this country, and I hope we will get that done also in this 4 years term, much more shorter than 4 years. So these are some of the things, and I will not go in all the details, but I will leave it there for now. I want to thank this parliament, who I think was a great parliament. No matter what differences, we were able to work together in the interest of St. Martin. Sometimes when we have to pass a budget, we see some of them walked out, but we don't take nothing personal. We go ahead and do the work of this country. To all of my colleagues, I will not personalize like some of my other colleagues done in the individual, but I want to say we have worked greatly for this country. And I want to also urge the new politicians who were able to be elected to try to maintain some of the cultural aspects of politics in St. Martin, because after a heated meeting, we can go still have lunch together, dinner together, have a drink, and I would like to see this maintained. It's practically one of the great things we can continue to do to see success for this country. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank my family, the voters of St. Martin, for voting for me all these years, and for my party, the NA, National Alliance Party, for all of those persons who have went out to vote. and voted. I want to thank them also. And I want to leave with this. May God continue to bless St. Martin. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Richardson. At this time, I would like to take a short break of 4 minutes. We'll return at 11:40 a.m. Meeting adjourned. Welcome back. The next person on the speakers list is MP William Marlin. MP Marlin, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, even in your old age, you learn to use these new gadgets. Honorable Chairman, fellow members of Parliament, support staff, viewers and listeners, visitors in the public tribune, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As the popular saying goes, there is a time to come and a time to leave. For me, the time to leave has come, as I had announced 4 years ago. I confess that it is with mixed emotions, but with a sense of personal satisfaction and humility that I bid this institution, our Parliament, farewell. So, Chairman, before I continue, I want to thank all the members of Parliament who have directed those kind words to me as being their teacher, their mentor, someone who they have learned a lot of the political history from, and I know they had to endure some of my long lectures and explanations, because as a teacher, I wanted to make sure that they understood. So, Chairman, before I continue as well, I want to thank all members of Parliament who are here present and those who are not present for the working relationship that we have enjoyed for the past 4 years. Sometimes very turbulent, sometimes we were on this side, sometimes we were on the other side, and as several have had little private jokes among themselves, I want to remind MP Halley-Martin that the crab salad and the little bowl of sauce is still there ever since Christmas. And I told her this morning that I won't throw it out, just as a reminder that she, for that one time, because it was in the campaign mode, didn't drop by to pick it up. Mr. Chairman, I stand before St. Martin today and before this House of Parliament for the last time as a member of Parliament. And I'm wondering how to capture not just the past parliamentary term, but actually my 37 consecutive years as an elective office holder in the time, this brief time allotted to me. So, Chairman, I want to apologize in advance and crave your indulgence if I go over that time, limit a little bit, actually maybe quite a bit. And I also promise in advance that it will never, ever happen again after today. I entered the political arena, Mr. Chairman, 45 years ago as a young professional with a lot of fire in my belly and a clear vision in my mind. We were not called millennials at that time. But I was eager to change our political culture in a significant way that would replace fear with faith in our political leaders and institutions. I was eager to bring about meaningful change that would make St. Martiners proud of themselves and of their heritage. I became one of the founding members of the St. Martin Patriotic Movement, the SPM, as we launched on December 15th, 1978. But we were up against a juggernaut that had fiercely held on to political power for decades. It took me, Mr. Chairman, 8 years, and finally, in the election of 1987, together with the late Vance James Jr., I won one of the 2 seats for the SPA, or the SPM rather, in the then Island Council. I entered the field with no parachute for soft landing and had to learn the ropes quickly on the fly. I have participated in and won a seat in every local election ever since. For the past 37 years, I have been granted the privilege and honor to serve the people of St. Martin in various capacities, from Island Council member to commissioner in the Executive Council, to Member of Parliament representing St. Martin for 9 years in the Parliament of the now defunct Netherlands Antilles. I have also had a distinct honor of chairing this body, as well as being Minister of Roumou and Prime Minister at one of the most trying periods of our modern history. My political career, Mr. Chairman, spans 2 generations, and today I look back with mixed feelings to see the road we have traveled thus far and the journey that still lies ahead. The SPM, led by Mr. Vance James Jr., of evergreen memory, took over the mantle of opposition from the Whipham in our first election in 1979. In those days, to be labeled opposition was not a good thing at all. As a matter of fact, one became a pariah, not only in society, but sometimes even within one's very own family. The Democratic Party, founded by the late Clem Labega and led by the late Dr. Claude Watty, had a powerful grip on the reins of power, and very few people dared challenge them. The SPM fought gallantly to make the people understand that a strong opposition was most essential in strengthening the democratic process. The party morphed into the St. Martin Patriotic Alliance, SPA, when it became evident that we needed to expand our tent to accommodate all those who were opposed to the ironclad rule of the DP. It was while in opposition in the Island Council that I made popular the saying, "Let the people know." The people have a right to know, Mr. Chairman. And we exposed the government for not having any policy whatsoever, not for the granting of social aid, not for study financing, not for the issuing of doctor cards for medical assistance, or for issuing land in long lease, and even for hiring of civil servants. That phrase is now commonplace among the political class, as we heard this morning. Mr. Chairman, we fought several political battles with the SPM, culminating in the first ever coalition government on St. Martin, which we formed with the PDP after winning the elections of 1991 with 4 of the 9 seats, DP taking 3, and the newly formed PDP, led by Ms. Millicent de Weaver, won 2 seats. This coalition was very short-lived, however, a mere 6 weeks for reasons I cannot get into now. However, it taught me a very important political lesson, that not only does politics make strange bedfellows, but also that there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies in politics, only permanent interest. that historic coalition of 1991, Mr. Chairman, ushered in an era of coalitions that continues up till today. We had to shed what some call the opposition mentality. We learned that you go into elections not to remain in opposition, but to get a chance to be in government. The third St. Martin coalition was again between the SPA and the PDP for just 1 year, from 1994 to the elections scheduled for 1995. I believe it was May 1995. It is then that I was asked to give up my seat in the Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles to make room for MP Roland Duncan and come back and serve as a commissioner. In 1 short year, Mr. Chairman, I worked like never before. In the election that followed in 1995, we won 5 seats. The DP also 5 seats, and the newly formed SAPP, the SAP of Julian Rallox, won 1 seat. Another coalition was formed, this time between the DP and the SAP, and lasted just 2 months. It was the overriding interest of the people of St. Martin that led to the SPA becoming part thereafter of the so-called Purple Coalition between the SPM and the DP. That came about in the wake of the unprecedented destruction caused by Hurricane Luis in September of 1995. Up till today, some observers believe that it was one of the best coalition governments the island has had. Mr. Chairman, we were able to set aside our political differences, buried our egos, and worked assiduously to get St. Martin back on its feet again in record time. The success of that coalition, especially in the face of a devastation that experts in Europe liken to Hiroshima after the atomic bomb, goes to show that unity of purpose is critical to the progress of our people. Mr. Chairman, after the Purple Coalition collapsed, I shortly thereafter became the leader of the SPA, and following the referendum of 2000, it became evident that we had to chart a new political course. We decided to change the name of the SPA to the National Alliance. And although we have not yet been granted the mandate of an outright majority to allow us to govern alone, I have seized every opportunity I got to be in government to do the best good for this island. For me, power means nothing if not used to empower the people and to improve their daily lot and standard of living. It was never about a personality cult. It was always about what is best for St. Martin. That is why we came together with the other parties to campaign for St. Martin to become an anonymous territory within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, in the constitutional referendum of 2000, after it became obvious in 6 short years that the so-called restructuring of the Netherlands Antilles was not working. And finally, 9 years after the result of that referendum of 2000, the National Alliance led the charge for just 1 year, and the will of the people was carried out, even though others at the time said it was not attainable. This finally became a reality on October 10, 2010. It was indeed a 10-year journey to 10-10-10. But if, as Professor Warren Bennis, the American scholar, and pioneer of the contemporary field of leadership studies, said, and I quote, "Leadership is the capacity to translate a vision into reality." We did our best to do just that. But I must be quick to admit that the vision is far from complete. Whether we like it or not, there are two outstanding issues we cannot shy away from: independence and reparations. St. Martin cannot continue being neither fish nor fowl forever. I always maintained that 10-10-10 was a pit stop on the road to independence, and as we did by consulting the people in a referendum in order to arrive at this present constitutional status, it is the people who will ultimately have to decide yes or no on the question of independence in a constitutional referendum. As for reparations, we are already part of the world movement demanding reparatory justice. This is a movement led by the Caribbean in partnership with the African Union and others. The Dutch government, in the person of outgoing Prime Minister Mark Rutte and His Majesty King Willem-Alexander himself, have taken the first steps in this direction by apologizing for the role of the Netherlands in the evil system of slavery. This, however, must be taken to its logical conclusion, as espoused by CARICOM. Reparatory justice is a discussion we must insist on having with the government of the Netherlands. Mr. Chairman, I know from experience that it will not be easy. After all, we still remember what happened when, as Prime Minister, I stood up against the Dutch with their indecent proposal in the aftermath of the worst disaster to ever hit St. Martin, Hurricane Irma in 2017. Events thereafter have proven my stand to be correct. We faced numerous challenges following Irma. One of them was our relations with the administration in Marigot. And as Félix Chouachi and other notable patriots have said, the gale does not stop at the border. The tendency for unelected officials of the state to seek the closure of the border in a disaster must be checked. Great Bay and Marigot have no choice but to work together in unison on this and a multitude of other matters. We cannot profess to be one island, one people with one destiny, only one day out of the 365 days of the year. Mr. Chairman, fellow members of Parliament, we must find a way, formally or informally, to express our oneness in concrete terms every single day of the year in a manner that will benefit all our people from Great Bay to Nettle Bay, from French Quarter to Dutch Quarter, and from Grand Cars to Simpson Bay. I believe it was Daniela Jeffrey who likened both sides of the island like Siamese twins. My own reading of our history suggests that our ancestors did not see this land in that matter. They invariably saw it as one and indivisible. I suggest we borrow a leaf from them. We have just concluded an election cycle, Mr. Chairman. For the first time since 10-10-10, we have had a government that lasted its full term of 4 years. With your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, I would like to cast a critical look back at the past 4 years as an MP and faction leader who supported the government for those 4 years. During this period, unfortunately, I've had my own share of struggles with doctor-inflicted health challenges. But even under those circumstances, I remained committed not only to backing the government, but also did my utmost to participate in the deliberations of this august body. I also note with some concern that in that same period, we have had to collectively push back on the ever-increasing attempts at hijacking our autonomy. Something, Mr. Chairman, I had warned against since December of 2017. We have similarly We have similarly had to fight against the coho and other conditions imposed on St. Martin for much-needed Dutch liquidity support and loans, etc., in the wake of Irma and the COVID-19 pandemic, neither of which were caused by us. Again, against this backdrop of monumental challenges which no previous government has had to face, we still delivered on our promise of bringing integrity and good governance back into our political culture and steered our ship of state clear from the murky waters of scandal and corruption. Of course, it wasn't easy, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I can safely say that the last 4 years of my 37 uninterrupted years as an elected office holder are far from what I had hoped they would have been. Mr. Chairman, I know I am way over my time, but please indulge with me for 2 more minutes. I also hope...
MP Marlin, I'll give you 5 more minutes,
Wow.
promising that you will not do it again.
So truly help me God Almighty. Mr. Chairman, I also hope that the incoming government will immediately pick up where this government left off for the realization of a new Parliament building. The new Parliament building committee, which I chaired, presented the terms of reference for the new building to be built on the site of the old government building some 5 or more months ago to the Council of Ministers for its realization. No loan will be needed if we don't try to reinvent the wheel, but simply follow the example of the new government building by having the APS, our pension fund, build, own, rent, maintain, and transfer the new Parliament building to the government of St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, and while I'm on the issue of the new Parliament building and government buildings, I hope as well that in the spirit of nation building, the new government would do what my NA-led government didn't do for the past 4 years, and that is honor 2 our former members of the Island Council who had both served as commissioners in the past as well. Instead of maintaining the present name of the airport upon completion of the ongoing reconstruction and renovation works, I believe it is time to rename it the Vance Wentworth James Jr. International Airport. After the Italian loan and construction scandal at the airport and harbor in 1990, and with the economy virtually grinding to a halt, it was the vision, hard work, and leadership of the late Vance James Jr. that got the construction of the new terminal building at the airport off the ground. This was followed soon after by the commencement of construction works at the harbor as well. In similar fashion, Mr. Chairman, I propose that the Dutch Quarter Community Center be renamed after the hard-working former Commissioner of Education, Social Affairs, and Culture, the late Edgar Hubert Lynch. He had worked tirelessly for the realization of the community center in Dutch Quarter and deserves to be recognized for his efforts. Mr. Chairman, I must also mention another unfinished business, the U.S. pre-clearance. This was an initiative I spearheaded because I strongly believe that it would be the vehicle for our economic revival. I am saddened that the process has stalled for reasons beyond my comprehension. My hope is that the new coalition government will pick up the dossier where I had left it, dust it off, and make it happen for St. Martin. I am encouraged that some of the new members of Parliament that will be sworn in campaigned on this issue. I only hope that they will keep their campaign promise. Personally, I will forever remain an ardent advocate for U.S. pre-clearance because I am convinced of the transformative impact it would have on our economy and our beloved livelihood. Speaking of election campaigns, Mr. Chairman, I cannot mention how sad I was to notice the level of acrimonious and gutter-style language some people resorted to, all in the name of freedom of expression. We are better than that. The people of St. Martin deserve better than that. And it is my fervent hope and prayer that we restore to civility to our political discourse. We must be able to disagree agreeably and abstain from the malicious personal attacks on one another and work together for a better St. Martin. We did it before and after Louis. We have always done it when our backs are against the wall, but we should not wait for another disaster to force us to do it again. Mr. Chairman, they say leaders create leaders. They pass on the baton to a new generation. The National Alliance, I can proudly say, has a new generation of leaders, including my son, MP Marlin, who have stepped up to the plate and are willing, ready, and able to serve. My advice to them and all the others in the various parties is simple. Remember the words of Andrew Carnegie. No man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself or to get all the credit for doing it. Politics is a team sport, and to win in this game, you have to be a team player. Whatever modest achievements I was able to make, I owe them to the team that I had at different stages that I led at different stages of my career. Mr. Chairman, I will swiftly move on. And in closing, I'm not sailing into the sunset yet, but I will forever cherish all the good in this goodbye. To my family, especially my wife, Gabrielle, who had to put up with my involvement in the arena for some 41 years now, my children and my grandchildren who are listening, to all those who have supported me in this long journey, my friends and even my political adversaries, I say thank you. I could not have done it without you. Your wisdom, dedication, and enduring love for St. Martin have always been a source of inspiration to me. It is my hope that a legacy of integrity, compassion, and dedication, which has guided me throughout my political career, will inspire others to carry the island forever forward to the further progress and prosperity. I will end, Mr. Chairman, with these words from the Holy Book, which says in Ecclesiastes, my favorite book rather, in chapter 3, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up which was planted. I am sure you know the rest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all my colleagues, past and present, of this hallowed house. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve with you. As I begin this new chapter of my life, I carry with me treasured memories and unforgettable experiences that have defined my career in elected office. I promise to continue making myself available to contribute to whatever capacity my experience is may be needed to take our island. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our beloved St. Martin. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, colleagues, for allowing me this extra overtime. I promise I will never do it again.
Thank you, MP Marlin. You crossed over with 3 extra minutes, a thing which is acceptable by all. The next person I have is MP Wescot-Williams. MP Wescott, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, and a good afternoon. A good afternoon to you, a good afternoon to my colleagues, a good afternoon to all those in the Tribune as well as those tuned in to this meeting. Mr. Chairman, I was nearly inclined to suggest or offer that I save my time for another time. And I say that to say that I want to firstly start out with thanking MP William Marlin for his contribution to St. Martin. The reason why I said I was inclined to suggest to put my time now for another occasion was because I thought it was quite fitting to have MP Marlin's address as one of the last for this particular occasion. And I do have the opportunity to do what I would like to do, say what I would like to say at another time. However, given the fact that I took the floor, I am going to use just a few brief moments from the time allotted to start, as I did, with a profound thank you to MP William Marlin. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. And although in his speech, MP Marlin did not point out some of the persons to whom he obviously referred, in many of the times mentioned by MP Marlin, I was part. So that's why today, when I express thanks to him, it is also looking at the many, many encounters, collaboration, and coordination that we have been able to enjoy. MP William Marlin and myself, sometimes on the same side of the fence, other times on opposite sides, but much of the history, as explained, have seen both of us in a role. And so, Mr. Chairman, my proposal to this august body, following up on what we just heard, would be that we make a concerted effort to have another Know Your Political History book follow the one and the different editions that we have had. I would want to suggest to this august body that the information presented here be used as a stepping stone to get to that sequence of Know Your Political History. Because I am a fervent believer that without knowing how we got to where we are today is not a strengthening factor. We need to know our roots. We need to know our heritage in order to feel strong in the positions that we hold and aspire to today. So I concretely again repeat it, that I believe the information as provided by MP Marlin should be used as a source, combined with other sources and narratives to prepare a sequence to our Know Your Political History. MP William Marlin, thank you so very much for the times that you have just referred to and standing out in everyone's memory, who know about it, who heard about it, who saw it, is the fact that when St. Martin needed us most, we stood up together. There is not another more famous picture regarding our decision as a country or as an island territory at the time to become country than the one with the three political leaders standing hand in hand, hands held high, with the determination that we would seek what the people voted for in the referendum of 2000, and that was an autonomous country within the context of the Dutch kingdom. So, Mr. Chairman, I hope that this is recorded, my suggestion, and that it is picked up. And I know I would have a thing or two to say about it, so I myself can commit to that happening. Mr. Chairman, before I go off in another direction and forget to thank each and every colleague who I have worked with all along, but in this past term, 2020 to 2024 in particular. Whether you have been in this body for all 4 years, part of the 4 years, I thank you for your contribution. I thank the entire staff of Parliament for their input all along and during the past 4 years in particular. And I say this in general to the staff of Parliament, I want you to recognize that whatever the position that you hold and have held in this Parliament, it made a difference, regardless to what your position was. Imagine how we functioned or not functioned when you were not there for your role in Parliament, and realize how important you in that role are. So thank you, all of you. I would not want to attempt to start to call names, forget someone who might have been here and no longer is with us in Parliament, or just forget a name. So to each and every one of you who fall under the staff and the umbrella of Parliament, thank you. You make a difference in the position that you hold in this Parliament towards the members of Parliament, and including myself. Mr. Chairman, I smile every time I hear, as a result of the election that we had in January, a reference to myself as, and I've heard many, many references, but I've also heard the comeback kid. Now, of course, I like the reference of kid. I like that. I like the sound of that comeback kid. But the comeback, I think, is a misnomer. The thing is, that is not about coming back. I went nowhere. I was here. Regardless of my role, I was here, and I stayed here. And I took all that came with it in whatever role. So I don't know about the coming back, but I do know about the resilience, the determination, and just the insistence. And I heard several of my colleagues, especially the younger ones in terms of who have been here for a shorter period of time, refer to what it takes, what it took from them, of them. And clearly, it's about having the strength to endure that kept me going. Clearly, we heard it from MP Marlin as well and several others, and I just want to share that that is really what it takes. And sometimes it calls for standing alone, and still enduring. So, Mr. Chairman, I like that reference. I heard all kinds of references, as I mentioned, what she do, how she did it, and but I wanted to refer specifically to the part of coming back. No, I just stayed here, and I took my blows as they came, and I fell down, and I stood up, and still standing strong for the people. So, Mr. Chairman, today we're saying, goodbye in the context of the term of the Parliament 2020-2024, and it's also the conclusion of the United Democratic faction and that party. And I refer to this because, like several persons have stated, and I know leaders of political parties have experienced, it is not easy leading a political party in the political environment of St. Martin today. Our system is a party political system. I will not belabor the issue of where things actually disconnect, where that system is concerned, and the serving of one's population in the Parliament of St. Martin. But, Mr. Chairman, I do want to stress that we need to address that matter. Tying it into what I mentioned in terms of the United Democrats, we did not start in 2020. The United Democrats started in the election of 2018 with the vision of basically creating a combination of like-minded persons with a vision as communicated to the people of St. Martin. And unfortunately, we were not able to complete that term because of various reasons in which I will not go today. But it does show that if we do not address a topic that has been of importance for me all along and during the term 2020-2024 for sure, is electoral reform. Mr. Chairman, we have to decide where we want to go with this, with our system, with the rules regulating our system. And if it's going to be a personal political system, then let us work towards that. Because as we saw from the coming together of the United Democrats, it was something as verbalized and appreciated by the people of St. Martin, and for a few votes would have actually brought us a majority in the Parliament of St. Martin. However, that did not take away from the fact that whether it was a majority of 8, whether it be a majority of 9, 10, whatever the case may be, if we don't decide what kind of structure we want to operate on, you never would have the kind of stability and common purpose and vision that this country deserves now, in my opinion, more than ever. So this too, for me, is the closing of the era of the United Democratic Party. And with the same resolution as closing that off, the bringing back into the fold of the Democratic Party. That's the one that we ran the election with, again, with a clear purpose in terms of direction, in terms of the most important letter in the alphabet where the work of the government is concerned, and that is the letter P, for the people of St. Martin. When we talk about the interests of St. Martin, the interests of the people of St. Martin, in some cases it has become quite cliche. We're doing it for the interests of St. Martin. Let us be a little more specific when we use that phrase. So, Mr. Chairman, that brings me, so UD chapter being closed off. We've had our election. We know where it stands. We have been part of the formation of the next government, clearly. And when I look back again, and of course, those who wish to highlight that part of the government that lasted for 4 years, whenever I hear that being mentioned, I ask, and I have a few answers to that question, at what cost? At what cost have we had minute left of the 15. Okay. At what cost? I have a few answers to that myself, which I, of course, don't have the time to get into right now. But in the coming days and weeks, that is going to become more and more clearer. At what cost did we have a government for 4 years? And I think that cost is at the detriment of the people of St. Martin. And as I mentioned before, I will go further into it. Mr. Chairman, my next issue I wanted to address was fine. After all is said and done, now what? But that I'm going to leave for another time. How further? How do we address the at what cost we have had the last 4 years of the government that is leaving? So, Mr. Chairman, let me conclude by again thanking everybody, your person, those persons who are not returning right now, because we don't know what the future holds and we don't know what politics in the future holds. So to all of you, to the people of St. Martin who have me here today again, I say thank you. Thank you for the confidence. Thank you for being there with me, because throughout the term, and now I need to add this in, and I too ask your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, because the term 2020-2024, while in the latter part of 2020, the big thing was the country packages, accept them, don't accept them, or whatever have you. And I was dealing with a very, very personal issue. And so today, it's sort of out of character, but I want to thank my immediate family for shielding me at that time, because I am sure that those challenges that I had went unknown to many persons. But I can tell you one thing, it is one of the reasons that I have been and will continue to stress on health care for the people of St. Martin. Everyone deserves health care on St. Martin, and I will continue to make that a point, to make that an issue. I will continue to stress on national mandatory screening for especially our women on St. Martin, because I know what it means to have it, and I can just imagine what it means for those who do not have the opportunity. So with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you again to my immediate family for shielding me at that time, and so I could remain, at least to the outer world, still standing and still standing strong. Thank you, and thanks to all my colleagues. Thanks to everybody. I think this is really a moment to say thank you, and to say that St. Martin, we got this. We got this as St. Martin. Thank you. God bless you, Mr. Chairman, all of you and your families, and God bless St. Martin. We got this. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Sarah Wescot-Williams. The next person is MP Ludmila D. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to you, to my colleagues, to those tuned in, listening, and viewing. As we reflect on the end of this parliamentary term, I find myself reflecting on the 4 years that I have been a representative of the people of St. Martin. And that reflection goes from my time as a minister to now my time as a member of parliament. The one recurring theme or lesson that I have taken away with me is that the people of this country demand attention and respect, not just for them, but attention and respect for ourselves, and attention and respect for the role that we find ourselves in as representatives of them, whether we are in the Council of Ministers or whether we are here in Parliament. And there's a couple things that I also want to bring up that have stuck with me over the last 4 years and came back even stronger as a message after this election that we've just had. And it is when the demands and requests of the many are ignored for the few, St. Martin will choose. When false promises and projects are presented for short-term gain and popularity, St. Martin will choose. When civil servants are promised monies that aren't paid out, St. Martin will choose. The most important lesson that I have learned the entire time that I have spent as a representative, whether I was appointed or earning my seat here based on changes that have happened is that on top of everything else, the people of this country have been asking and demanding that when we communicate with them, it is honest and it is true. Everything that has happened, everything that I have experienced, every message that has been given to me, especially in these last 3 weeks, has been about demanding communication from representatives in government, because that's what they've asked for. That's why we are here. We're here for them. And to those former colleagues of mine in the Council of Ministers, and also the current colleagues of mine here in Parliament, I would like to thank you for your service. And as MP Duncan, my namesake and yoga or fellow yogi, pointed out, there's something that we say in yoga, that it is applicable for not only my former colleagues in the Council of Ministers and those here, but to everyone in general. And it is the teacher in me honors the teacher in you. That's why we end off with namaste. That is the meaning behind it. And I want to tell everyone that we are listening to you and we have heard your choice. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you.
Thank you, MP De Wever. Thank you, members of Parliament, for your speeches, for your reflections, and for carrying out your tasks duly as representatives of the people of St. Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, as the chairperson of the Parliament of St. Martin, I have following remarks. Honorable members of Parliament, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, as my time in office comes to a close, I am honored to reflect on the past 4 years that I have had the privilege to serve as a member of Parliament and for the time I spent as the President of the Parliament of St. Martin. During this period, our nation has faced extraordinary challenges, including the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm proud of the way we have navigated through these difficult times. When I first took office as a member of Parliament in 2020, none of us could have anticipated the profound challenges that lay ahead. The COVID-19 pandemic presented us with an unparalleled test of our resilience, unity, and leadership. As a nation, we came together to protect the health and well-being of our citizens and to safeguard our economy. I'm immensely proud of the way we managed to navigate through these turbulent times, demonstrating resilience, compassion, and innovation. In my role as President of Parliament of St. Martin from November 2022 to February 10, 2024, I have endeavored to foster an environment of constructive debate, collaboration, and progress. Together, we have passed crucial legislation to address the impacts of the pandemic, improve our healthcare system, and to bolster our economy. I'm proud of the strides we have made in promoting transparency and accountability in government, and I'm deeply grateful for the hard work and dedication of my fellow members of Parliament and the parliamentary staff. Allow me now a few moments to reflect on the points as it regards this Parliament term. Fifth Parliament. As I mentioned in my opening statement, this Fifth Parliament of St. Martin sat on Monday, February 10th, 2020, based on the elections held on January 9th, 2020. 3 chairpersons during this term. This parliamentary term has seen as many as 3 chairpersons of Parliament. But what was also different than previous terms is that this term began with 5 factions instead of 4 factions, which was at that time the most ever in our history. It ended with 5 factions and 5 independent members of Parliament, although started but not completed. I encourage the incoming Parliament to continue working on further regulating the aspects surrounding factions, support, and independent members. COVID-19, virtual parliamentary meetings. After the orientation period for this parliamentary term and a few meetings, St. Martin and the world were hit by a COVID-19 pandemic. As just mentioned, which forced the world to a complete standstill, as well as this parliament and parliaments worldwide. In light of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and in following the government's social distancing guidelines, the Parliament of St. Martin took precautionary measures for the safety and well-being of members of Parliament, staff, and visitors, and as of March 23rd, 2020, held its meetings until further notice as much as possible virtually. In this light, it is important to mention that the Parliament of St. Martin was the first parliament within the Kingdom of the Netherlands to approve a law virtually. This also occurred during the first virtual meeting on March 23, 2020. Social distancing, hand sanitizers, face masks. And yes, this was the period of the words social distancing, hand sanitizers, and face masks. Upon return to meetings in person, this Parliament experienced various sitting arrangements to adhere to social distancing, the use of face masks in the building, the constant use of hand sanitizers, and even COVID-19 testing of members. It seems like it was a long time ago, but it was our reality, and we should never forget that experience. COVID-19 also affected the yearly opening of the parliamentary year, which for the first time was held virtually in 2020. We have seen a transition from virtual to hybrid with fewer invited guests and are now back to normal. COVID-19 also affected something that presidiums during this term and this parliament worked extremely hard on, and that is the needed new parliament building. Parliament, via its ad hoc committee, New Parliament Building, has submitted its program of requirements for a new building to the government, and I encourage the incoming Parliament to continue and ensure that this plan comes to fruition. During this parliamentary term, Parliament handled and approved 35 national ordinances. In February 2021, Parliament approved the temporary national ordinance on the standardization of top incomes and adjustments of employment conditions at semi-public sector entities. The temporary national ordinance COVID-19 cuts employment conditions for civil servants, and the temporary national ordinance on the amendment of the employment conditions of political authorities. On April 26, 2021, the Ombudsman, who is the guardian of the Constitution and the only one authorized to challenge newly ratified national ordinances that she considers to be in contravention of the Constitution, after careful consideration, submitted the three aforementioned national ordinances to the Constitutional Court for review. This process is a fundamental part of our legislative trajectory here in St. Martin. Based on the judgments rendered, we have the opportunity to further improve our legislation for our people in the future. At this time, we also remember the late President of the Constitutional Court, Justice Jacob Bob Witt, and what he meant for the court and St. Martin. As this is a cardinal part of our legislative process, it is imperative that a replacement is found if any ordinances passed in the near future are to be challenged by the Ombudsman. Another critical set of national ordinances that were accepted and form part of the 35 pieces of legislation approved by Parliament during this term are the annual accounts of 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. The handling and approval of these national ordinances allows for sound financial management for our country, St. Martin. So yes, Parliament did carry out its constitutional task of acting as co-legislator during this parliamentary term. The death of acting Governor Grunewald. This term also saw sad moments, one of which I reflect on is the sudden passing of the former acting Governor of St. Martin, Mr. Reynold Grunewald, LLM, in May 2022. Mr. Grunewald was a teacher and a constitutional expert willing to share his thoughts on our constitutional structure and system while vividly looking towards the future and possible changes. SOL meetings. This term could also be considered the parliamentary term of SOL meetings. In total, we held 8 SOL meetings during this term. Every year on the second Tuesday of September, we have a SOL public meeting for the opening of the parliamentary year. However, in 2020, we also commemorated 10 years of the country's status with a virtual SOL public meeting. In 2022, we held SOL meetings for the farewell of the former governor of St. Martin, Dr. Eugene B. Holliday, and the acceptance of the office for the current governor of St. Martin, His Excellency, Mr. Ajamo Bailey. And lastly, just a few months ago, we held a SOL meeting for the acceptance of the office for the current acting governor of St. Martin, Her Excellency, Dr. Emiko Bird Lake. With these transitions, we see a transition into a new era of governance. And we once again thank Dr. Holliday for his service to St. Martin and continue to wish His Excellency Governor Bailey and Her Excellency Acting Governor Dr. Bird much wisdom and success on their paths. Women in Parliament. This parliamentary term started with 4 females of the 15 members and quickly increased to the current 6 females of Parliament. The most females this Parliament has seen to date during this term. This Parliament also established a Women's Parliamentary Caucus, a platform to debate on current issues predominantly affecting a large segment, if not the whole community, to liaise with stakeholders and others, and to analyze and propose solutions, policies, and legislation. With 1/3 of the new Parliament consisting of women, I hope the Women's Caucus will continue and have a positive impact. Regional cooperation. This Parliament also saw the acceptance of a proposal of scrutiny on itself, looking also at promoting regional cooperation on a parliamentary level with the islands in the region. The Audit Chamber was requested to evaluate the return on investment of partnership in Palatino, while Parliament would look into intensifying its cooperation with the islands in the region. Since then, Parliament has participated in more tripartite meetings. Cooperation has been had with the House of Assembly of Anguilla, as the Vice Chairman of Parliament attended the second Commons and Overseas Territories Speakers Conference, and preparatory discussions have been had with the Territorial Council of St. Martin and the Island Council of Saba and Statia to have meetings on the level of the people's representative and have this plan come to fruition. In addition, the General Audit Chamber recently issued its report on public sector travel and Palatino membership, and I encourage the incoming Parliament to follow up on the report and the recommendations. Public outreach, school visits, thesis library. During this parliamentary term, Parliament was also very active in the community during the Christmas periods, participating in the St. Martin Do It volunteer initiative and promoting a healthy lifestyle, to name a few. Parliamentarians also welcomed many schools visit this term, in which students learned about Parliament and got the opportunity to interact with their representatives. During this term, a thesis library was also established, which will enhance the research capacity for members of Parliament and give our students the opportunity to document their research here at Parliament. Secretariat of Parliament. Before I end, as enshrined in the Constitution of St. Martin, Parliament cannot function without its greffier and its secretariat. This term experienced a change of guard in which the former Secretary General, Ms. Nancy Joubert, who is here in the Tribune today, left in 2020 to continue her career, after which Ms. Anne Gumbs functioned as interim greffier for a period, and in April 2021, Mr. Garrick Richardson assumed the position of greffier. I would like to thank them and their support in the Secretariat of Parliament for their continuous cooperation, from documents to travel arrangements, attendance and advice during meetings, and the great coffee and bush teas. This department ensures that we can carry out our tasks duly as members of Parliament. I would also echo the sentiments of every member of Parliament, thanking all the staff members, each and every one that has been in Parliament building. Tasks and rights of the members of Parliament. Based on our Constitution, Parliament is here to represent the entire population of St. Martin, act as a co-legislator, and thus handle draft national ordinance in Parliament, and exercise control over or supervise government's policies, and I believe we have done this. As my tenure comes to an end, I'm filled with gratitude for the trust and support of the people of St. Martin. It has been the privilege of a lifetime to serve you, and I'm humbled by the opportunity to have represented your interests in the highest levels of government. Together, we have faced challenges and celebrated triumphs, and I am grateful for the experiences we have shared. As I step down from my current role, I'm confident that the Parliament of St. Martin is poised for continued success. I have every faith in the abilities of my colleagues and my successor, and I look forward to witnessing the great strides that I am certain they will achieve. In closing, I reaffirm my unwavering commitment to the well-being and prosperity of St. Martin. I look forward to continuing to serve our community in new capacities and to supporting the Parliament and government in any way I can. Thank you all for your support, and may we continue to work together to build a brighter future for St. Martin. Leaving members. Today, we say goodbye in Parliament to members Bryson, Brownbill, Duncan, Marlin, Pantophlet, Peterson, Richardson, Roumou, and myself. And I also take note of suspended member Buncamper. St. Martin thanks you for your representation, dedication, and service to the people of St. Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this agenda point, in which we close the parliamentary term, thanking the people of St. Martin for allowing us to serve them in this capacity. Before leaving the hall, the members of Parliament who will not be returning will receive a bouquet of flowers in recognition of your service. Each member will receive parting gifts, and lastly, I will unveil the added picture to the wall of members of Parliament, which are pictures of those members who were members for the first time in this 5th parliamentary term. I ask you to stand when this is being done. With this, I also thank you all for your participation, and I hereby close this meeting. Yeah, but